Welcome to the Blue Byron Books podcast. I am joined by the one and only Neghemi Micah. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you briefly introduce yourself?
Okay, I live in South Carolina. I just graduated with my bachelor's in English and engineering from Swarthmore College, and I've been working with Blue Byron Books like involved for like little over a year now. Yeah.
And you said this is your first podcast appearance
Yes, it's my first
ever.
time being a guest at a podcast.
So, a few other people have mentioned that. Um, some people might have been their first time, but like a few have vocalized to me that coming on the Blue Byron Books podcast, or oftentimes like the other one I have, the Rich Conversations one, it's their first one. And you had mentioned before we started recording that it's like a talk show. It feels like coming on a talk show.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like a talk show, but like less performative. Because talk shows are like you just want to get a laugh from the audience, but it's the same thing where it's like someone is interviewing someone else. So I feel like no one like you don't just have people randomly on a podcast. I feel like there have to be like some kind of
Yeah.
importance. They have to be like relevant in some way. They have to add to like viewership or something. And I just no one that I know has a podcast, so I've never been in a podcast. So yeah.
What is uh what would you say college age individuals, what is their perspective on podcasts as like a medium?
I feel like actually it's a very popular thing. Uh it's very like it's like a new way. I feel like it's more popular than like talk shows for this generation just because like talk shows are kind of like especially the hosts and everything, they're like, old people. But podcasts are like by people that are younger and they talk about like relevant things, even if it doesn't have to be like TV appropriate. You just talk about anything. Like anything you want to talk about, anything that I like on TikTok or on social media, like clips and everything, mostly like podcast clips are very popular. So,
Yeah, it is interesting that whole dynamic of media where like growing up you had Regis, well, for me like Regis and Kelly. And who was before? Regis and what was their name? And then the late night talk shows, and then you
yeah,
had the
John
daytime talk
Carson.
shows. Who
Yeah,
was
I
it?
I love Jimmy Fallon personally.
Fallon's good. It was like I remember when he first transitioned to that role, the first episodes, not even the first episodes, like the first year was kind of rough. Like, I remember having conversations with my friend of like, oh man, this is a work in progress. Um, he does a good job of making it feel a little bit more energetic,
Yeah,
youthful,
yeah.
culturally relevant. Um,
Because I feel like one thing that I don't like when I watch talk shows is just like I can just tell that it's scripted, and I'm just like I don't want to be an audience that is, fooled by this like obviously scripted conversation. Like they'd be like, "Oh, you told me about this and this," and I'm like, "This is obviously you guys obviously planned this before." But Jimmy Fallon, I feel like he's very like I don't know, entertaining and funny. But I feel like podcasts are kind of like less scripted, more like conversational. So
yeah, you're right. Because a lot of those talk shows, there's a lot of money pumped into them, commercials, advertising. They're very highly produced. And, say an actor comes on, they talk a little bit, make it entertaining, but then they also have to plug, what they're
yeah,
there to plug.
yeah,
And it's like a big like advertising program.
yeah.
Um, yeah, you're right. Podcasts, conversations. Has it become oversaturated yet? That's
I
what I'm
think
curious
so.
about.
I think it's getting there. It's definitely like it has become that kind of thing where it's like people are like, why is this a podcast? Like why? Because like anyone can do it. So at least for talk shows, it's like you have to. probably be vetted, and the cable has to be like, I am investing in you as a comedian and like entertainer. But podcast, anyone that has a mic that just has like a business idea can just
Yeah.
like do a podcast. And it gets to the point that people are like, why did anyone give this person a mic? You know, people just don't have people just like are a bit like I don't know, very stilted in their thinking and very close-minded that people are like, why are we giving them a mic to talk about this? I've seen a lot of clips that people are just like saying some like the dumbest things that anyone could ever say, and they just like think that they're right because they have a mic. So
It is interesting though, because then the podcasts that do emerge seem to have been vetted publicly rather than commercially almost.
yeah. I mean, I guess so. They are popular podcasts. Um, I mean, I like the Amy Poehler podcast,
Okay.
and I feel like there is like a thing where I don't know, like also like the basement yard, or just like plugging them right now, the basement yard, or yeah, do you know about that?
No.
It's like Joey and Frankie. You don't know? Okay, they're like the really popular podcasts, but I think that
That's
also
what's
popular.
interesting though, is like media today is so fragmented and niche that you just mentioned a super popular podcast and I've n never even heard of it.
But you
You
know
know what
about
I
Amy
mean?
Poehler,
Like it's
though.
like an interesting thing. Amy Poehler, yeah, sure, but um
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
like there's some podcasts that you know that I don't know either. I'm not really like that involved in the podcast environment. I just like I feel like I'm very basic. I just like popular things, mainstream popular
I
podcasts.
I actually don't listen to this is probably not a great thing to say on a podcast that I'm hosting, but like I don't listen to a lot of podcasts anymore. I have like a history one called The Ancients that I fall asleep to.
Yeah, you
And
fall asleep to it.
yeah, I
Wow.
intentionally listen to history podcasts to fall asleep. Um, but a lot of the topics are redundant. You know, you can only go back in ancient history. There's only so many things that we know of that happen in ancient history. So you get uh, the Roman Empire topics come up all the time. Just, just like it gets a little redundant. But anyways, Bill Simmons, and then after that, I don't really, and even that, I don't check in. I don't listen. I just like silence more and more. I just like silence and doing nothing. And
Okay, so what? Like you said, doing nothing. Do you just stare at the wall in silence or something?
for example, I was telling my friend Joe this the other day. Like, I'll have some espresso, and in the farmhouse, I'll just open the window that looks out west, and you have a cornfield, oak trees, and I just sit there in a rocking chair. I put a rocking chair in the I call it my study. It's where all my books just lay on the ground. And I will just sit there for like an hour and just let my mind wander. Like that's when I say like do nothing. Like how I want to spend my time like all the time.
I see.
Yeah.
But I like thinking, right?
Thinking, but also not. Um, because I feel like when you're thinking, you're more direct of like, what am I thinking about? Or like, you're like trying to solve something or force something. Whereas like this is just like whatever comes up, comes up. It just like passes by. Um,
I have a question actually.
yeah.
This might be kind of weird, but like, have you ever like gone at some like amount of time with like I don't know, like something else in your head, like TV's on, music is playing, and then like you've gone through like a long time with like something else that's not just your thoughts, like watching TV, reading a book or whatever. And then when you actually have to stop and just be alone with your thoughts, do you get scared? Because of like the change between never having to be with your thoughts and then being alone with your thoughts, at least for the first few like minutes. Do you ever get scared of that?
No, because I feel like the opposite, it's like my default is silence.
Okay.
So it's almost like I have a TV in the farmhouse and it only comes on to watch like live sports. But other than that, like I don't have music continually playing. I don't have TV going on. Um,
Like you never do.
like almost never. It's just I just like silence so much. Like a cat, you know, like a cat doesn't like all the noises. I feel like I identify with cats in that sense. But I think it's something I've built up, you know, like just I'm very comfortable in like stillness and silence and just um thoughts. I think sometimes you need the trouble is if the thoughts become redundant and you notice patterns in it, and then you're like, it's not changing, so what's going on, kind of a thing. Um,
Well, I also like thinking. I mean, just like just being in silence, just staring and just letting my thoughts flow. But I think I do like get involved in like social media and like TV and stuff. So I watch TV and then sometimes I would watch TV for like a long time and then I'll be like, wait, I can't. I'd be kind of scared to go back to silence because I think I'm just scared of change, any changing from one place to another. So I think I get comfortable in silence, but I think just changing from like always having something else in my ear to just being silent is a kind of jarring change. But
yeah. I have no idea how like other people consume uh or how much time they spend on phones or computers. I feel like there are days where I'm in the office here from, you know, like 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. with like only two like 10-minute breaks to eat. And I can like feel my face, like especially my eyes, like like my energy is being zapped. Uh, do you ever feel that way, like with screens and stuff?
I I don't know if I would say my energy is being zapped. I think when I work, when I'm doing work for a long time, I do feel like drained. But when I'm watching TV, when I'm scrolling I'm just like I can scroll for a long time. For like hours. I can't, and I can't.
Badge of honor.
I'm like a basic dopamine addict, you know. And TV, like I've been watching The Walking Dead recently, and ever since I came back home after I graduated, I've watched like 5 seasons of it. It's actually really
Nice.
terrible. I feel like it's actually a problem. I feel like I kind of wish that I felt like you, that I could like not want to, but I think I'm just like a addict of like screen and media like everyone else.
Do you feel like that's not just you, but like your generation or like peers, age group?
I think honestly that I'm like more of an addict than anyone else in my generation. But I will say that yeah, it is like a common thing to scroll for a long time, doom scroll and be obsessed with media like that.
Oh,
Maybe because like we grew up on it. Did you guys grow up on it? I don't know.
not really. I feel like 2012, 2013 is when things really like the smartphones and the apps really became or started to become what we see them now as. So I remember in
Maybe.
college, I would have in my backpack, I would have like a notebook and an iPod, you know, like a separate
Oh
entity
my
that
God. I don't think I've
played
ever I don't think I've ever
MP3
seen an
songs,
iPod.
um, a digital camera, and uh, what else? But I had all these separate items, whereas like now in a phone, they're all in one. And I think that's so cool. And so I try to approach it that way of like being grateful that everything is all in one and not letting it um consume me too much. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen an iPod in real life. So I don't know. Like that's kind of crazy.
I wonder if I still have mine.
Because I think my first phone was when I was like, because I didn't have a phone in Nigeria because I came from Nigeria when I was 10. So I had a phone when I was like 12 or 13, my first phone. But I grew up on TV. Like since I was born, I've been watching TV. Like Barney, like, you know, Disney Channel. Since I was like, I don't remember a time when I didn't have TV. Since I was
Yeah.
born, I had TV. Did you guys
So how did
watch, did you
what?
watch like shows like, did you have, okay, this might be kind of offensive. I'm sorry to ask this. Did you have TV when you were a kid?
Yeah, but I'm in rural Wisconsin, rural America, and I never had cable, and I was always jealous of everyone that did. So like they had like the Nickelodeon, the Disneys, the um ESPNs. We just had like, NBC, CBS, Fox, uh public TV. I always loved like PBS and like the nature shows and the documentaries like
When
that
you were a
was
child?
yeah, more so like the nature stuff. There's a show called Kratz Creatures and they just like go out to different places in the world and document animals and stuff. It was fun. Um, so it was really boring. Yeah.
But
It's
you said you
really
liked it.
boring out here.
But you said you liked it. Like the shows that you
Uh,
watched.
yeah, but I would also love to be watching Nickelodeon and all these cool shows that everybody's talking about.
Right. What do you guys do? Do
Um,
you guys live like, are you like isolated? Do you have neighbors?
we're being infiltrated by suburban sprawl right now. But growing up, we were the only house on the west side of the road for the entire mile. From like mile to mile, we were the only house on the west side. It was all farm fields by us. And then there was like a few houses on the other side. Um, yeah. How did you get into like reading and books?
Um, I I don't know. I think okay, so when I was in Nigeria, I think I read maybe like I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember reading in Nigeria. I know I did read, but I don't remember reading it. I remember when I came to America, I came when I was 10, so I went to fifth grade straight because I was like in elementary school. And there, the library, I was like, wow, because like I don't think I've ever seen a library like that. I don't think I actually have, because like in Nigeria, I don't think I ever saw one like that. So in America, for the first time, I was like, all of these books, and I would read so much. And I think, I don't know why, but I think it was kind of like, it wasn't really planned. I think it was just like love at first sight, and suddenly it was just like an integral part of my identity. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Was there any particular book that stood out to you?
Um, no, I think I was just like spamming reading, just reading random things.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything that really stood out to me. I remember I read The Great Gatsby when I was in like ninth grade. I read it all in one sitting. I didn't really
Oh,
understand
wow.
much, really, but I was like, that was interesting. I think
How
that's
old
what
were
I
you?
remember. Uh, I don't know. I think it had to be some kind of 14 or something, maybe.
Okay.
But I remember I just read a bunch of books when I was elementary school. And some of them were like hit or miss. I mean, I don't think that they're really great, amazing books at elementary school level. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I actually found one that was like, wow. But
Yeah.
I just enjoyed reading, like the process of reading, like getting lost in stories and in books. I enjoyed that and just like, picking different books to read, different stories to explore. I enjoyed that aspect of it. So,
What would you say now are the three most influential books you've read?
okay. most influential, I would say honestly kind of like life-changing. Maybe that's a bit of a strong word, but
Well, that's
three
what I mean
books.
by
If I can
influential.
pick, if I could pick only three, it would be The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. It would be Normal People by Sally Rooney, and then it would be Slaughterhouse Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Yeah.
What did you like about normal people?
So it's actually very interesting, but I think when I read those, I read the Bell Jar and Normal People like at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but I read Bell Jar after I read Normal People. So I think I read books all the time, but it was the first time where I felt because I was going through a hard time, like personally, and it was the first time that I actually felt like a book can like rearrange the way I
Mm,
feel or can make me feel actually seen. Like I just felt like the book helped me like arrange my feelings because I didn't know what I was feeling or why I was feeling the way. And that book, I just felt like I just related so much to that book. I just felt like so much. I feel like that book was just like saying things that I felt, and that was the first time that I ever felt like a book can do that. Because before, like
mm,
I read books and I enjoyed, like, I learned a lot of things and I learned a lot of empathy through reading. Like, stories that I never would relate to before, like, like empathy or like feeling like I read a book about this alcoholic family and I was like, I didn't know how alcoholism could affect families, but now I kind of know because I could feel it because of the book. But Normal People was the first time that I personally, like, what I was going through in my life was shown in the book, or like I could relate to it in the book. That was the same thing with Beljar as well. It just really helped me. I feel like it just really helped me. So, but I think Slaughterhouse Five was just good, just a good book, and it was just like the first time I've read like non-linear time in a book like that, and it was just so brilliant. I just like loved it. So
huh. Yeah, I like asking that question to people, and even like people we bring into Blue Byron Books, because when you say influential books, it changes the framing to books that have affected that person to become who they are now. Whereas like if you say favorite books, it's more like entertainment leaning and just like enjoyment. Um, so I like the cerebral aspect of like better understanding someone by asking what's influenced them, you know?
yeah,
And then so when I try thinking about that, I think Sacred Hoops, I think Tao Te Ching, and I think I've said Homo Deus
what
as
was
the
that?
third one.
What was that third one?
So that one is by Yuval Noah Harari. And he first wrote Sapiens, which is like a brief history of humankind. And Homo Deus is the future of humankind. And I first read it when I'm more of like a romantic. I like old things. I like vintage nostalgia and just like I find myself I really like the late 19th century and just like uh and that was just like a punch in the face because it was really confronting. That's great, but like, how are you going to adapt in the future? We have all this technology, life is accelerating, society is accelerating, technology accelerating. Like, how are you going to navigate this? And I think it really made me reinvent almost like how I think about the world and how I'm going to live my life within it without compromising kind of my um, approach, I guess, and finding meaning within all the technology. I think people can struggle with that. It's almost like very binary, like you're either for tech or you're against tech. And it allowed me to really reflect and take a more nuanced approach with it.
Because like you told me once that I might be like paraphrasing. Tell me that like your purpose in life is like helping people cope with technology, right?
Yeah, in that way, I wouldn't say cope, but like we're in a really interesting part of the human story, right? If Harari did a summary of the human story in a way, like us, human beings, how we um, not necessarily evolved, but how we like got to where we are now. And we're in this interesting space where with digital technology and the ability to use machines to compute information, it's just like since the 1950s, with like Alan Turing, we've been developing and going this way, and now it's almost like vertical the way it's going. It's you have like from analog to digital, I view my path as like helping people transition from that, where it's not so jarring and violent in a way, where it's like you can find meaning and purpose within the change of a more digital world. I think that's where a lot of the um, anxiety, depression comes from is like it's happened so suddenly. Humans have lived a particular way for a very long time. And then now we introduce these things and the dopamine, everything's programmed and like um it can really affect humans. And so like in that story, as we move on, that's something we'll have to do. And I mentioned earlier how like in college, technology was like this, and I still try to take that analog approach and just be more intentional and specific about how I use tech. Um, I feel like that's my generation's purpose at the same time is like, how do we transition our institutions and society to like not be erratic and living in fear with this abrupt change? Um,
So did you like have these did you think about this? Did you like think that this was your purpose before you read the book? Or did the book like make you think, oh wow, like open your eyes and then like when did you start to believe all these things and when did you start to like connect with like helping people adjust to that?
say it's definitely more gradual. It wasn't, I feel like once I read it, I was just like sh shocked. I was just like, it was just such a kick in the ass where I was just like deflated, you know? It's like, oh, this is the future. How I've been living, like, I need to make some changes. And slowly you make those changes. So I think it's gradual. I think we hope oftentimes things are just night and day, a light switch. And I think some things are, but something like that, I think you have to like step back and let it marinate and let it affect you.
But before that, before you read the book, did you ever think about those things?
Probably not. I
So
mean,
it like
yes
set you
and
on
no.
the right.
It was more like a byproduct or like passively rather than actively.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, okay, so you we've been collaborating with Blue Byron Books for over a year. What has been the favorite book that you worked on?
Oh, that I worked on. Um, I feel like okay. I think I know the answer to this. It's I think I do As a Man Think It or
You're the editor on that one.
yeah, that was on. Or yeah, I think it was that one. Either that or one of the uh what's it called? The Two Views, One Vision. Probably the last one. Yeah.
Oh,
The
Mind and
last one that
Consciousness?
yeah. I just liked because I had to read through the responses. I liked you and Timothy's like responses. And I think there was even one, even I think it was the first book. I don't know, just because like there was one question. I don't think it was the last one. I think it was like probably the first book, the Two Views One Vision book, which was like, what is more important, purpose or happiness? I think that was the question. But that question was just I liked that question. So I just liked that series just because I could
Yeah.
think about stuff for myself as well, and then see like people's point of view.
Yeah.
But I think you introduced
It's a
me
great
because
series.
I probably heard of Azimuth before, but I'm not really a nonfiction girl. Like before college, I didn't really read nonfiction that much. I only read fiction. But I also hadn't really come across As a Man Thinketh before. So I think reading through the book, I think you sent me the book because like the finished like
I
version.
did, yeah. Usually I sent
Yeah.
them to South Carolina. I sent you that copy at Swarthmore.
Yeah. It was at college. I remember having the book, like I just kind of like read through it and it was just it's a very influential book for me as well. Like kind of it's a very interesting and good book. It's a really good book and I feel like I would never have read it or even had a copy of that before. Probably eventually down the line, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
have had it if it wasn't for the company. So
I think it's a really, As a Man Thinketh is so simple. I think it was considered one of the first like self-help books, but it doesn't come across as a self-help book the way we think about it today. It's not very it's not kitschy. It's just like his thoughts. He like writes his thoughts and say like 500 words in these like sections. See if I have it. Uh yeah, as man thinketh. It's not like your bullet points. It's just
yeah.
straight up just writing the secret of health, success, and power. But it comes down to like you are your thoughts, essentially,
Hmm.
which you can find that everywhere. The richest lines from As a Man Thinketh. A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all of his thoughts. Man's mind is maybe likened to a garden. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. Habit solidifies circumstance. A sour face does not come by chance. It is made by sour thoughts. There's nothing which may not be accomplished. Um, and a few more.
Also like I think because I'm also religious,
Hmm.
um, and so I feel like the Bible is filled with a bunch of wisdom, and I feel like this book, because the title, "As a Man Thinketh in his heart, so is he," or something, that's from the Bible. So I really like the book itself, not just the title, but the book itself has a lot of principles that are in the Bible as well. Like it just
Yeah.
the wisdom is kind of similar to Proverbs. Like I'm not comparing uh whatever his name is to, Solomon, but I'm just saying like it's very
Mm,
similar in that direction. I feel like it's just a very wise book. And it's not like self-help books, I feel like it kind of reminds me of like Aristotle because I read the Nicomedean Ethics for a class in college. It kind of reminds me of that because it's just like it just said things that would help people get better in a smart way. It doesn't make you think
yeah.
who's this person to tell me this? It's just like there's a lot of uh, validity in who they are because I just trust that they're
Mm.
very wise. So, because like self-help books today are just like how to live your life or whatever. I'm like, who are you to tell me that? But I feel like as I'm gonna think it is like I trust that he was wise. He was like he actually spent all his time thinking and pondering things, not just writing a book for profit. But
Yeah, I this book was introduced to me. It's something I'm thinking about now recently too. It's just like being more aware of being more aware, period. And also like coincidences, threads, and following them. And two two impactful people introduced me to this book almost like at the same time, which was like very like eye-opening. And like you've said before, like reading the book, reading books can really get you to just reflect and think more outside yourself. And this was big. Yeah, James Allen passed away at 48. It's interesting when we're putting together these rich edition books to read the biographies of the writers and like what ages they died at.
or just like seeing their picture because I don't think I've
Everything's
seen
in black and white
picture.
in these classic ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Wait,
putting out Dawson. Go ahead.
who were the two impactful people that introduced you to the book?
What's that?
I said, who were the two impactful people that introduced you to the book?
So Timothy was one, Timothy Hayden, and a woman I was dating. She was a track star in Houston, and she missed the Olympic qualifications, and it's just like sort of like ate at her, but she was always like driven to be her best self and really like pursue kind of like any edge that she could get mentally, psychologically, and have like a real like cerebral aspect. And like this was like the pinnacle book that she had mentioned and brought up. Um,
I feel like you would be a good athlete.
I was good, and then I stopped growing.
What do you mean you stopped growing?
Like one of my nicknames was JV Superstar, so that my friends gave me, because like when I was like 16, I was really really good, but then I stopped growing, and then everybody else like continued to grow, and uh, then
Wait,
I
so like you were this height right now that you are right now?
since I was like 14, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Wait, how tall are you actually?
I'm like 5'7".
Okay. Is that like
Uh,
is that short for basketball? You play basketball, right?
Generally yes, yeah, like basketball, baseball, football. I did tennis, track a little bit.
That all of
Um,
it.
yeah.
What, so you just don't want to go forward in any of them because of your height? Or
No, no, no. It was just like I stopped playing sports after high school, and like I was quarterback, and another person in our class, he was really good. he was like 6'4", and it helps when you can see over the offensive line.
Right.
When you
Right. Right.
like everybody started growing, and then like my senior year, I got injured both
Oh.
junior and senior year. Like I broke my thumb my junior year, broke my ankle my senior year. So football wise, uh, JV was like my pinnacle. But I was like backup, and I was on the scout team, and our like team was ranked in state. We were so bad for so long, and then like my class athletically was just like so gifted that
Mm.
we just dominated every single sport in the conference, which we hadn't done in like 30 years. And um,
You just didn't play any sports in college?
no, no. After high school, I was like, I have so many interests that like sports is like one, and sports is so useful to build like team building skills, social skills, basic fundamentals for life. And I went to state for weightlifting, and just learning how to like exercise and nutrition is so important for life that um, I continue those on, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking more of like, I feel like your way of thinking, like the way that you're kind of like driven and kind of like ambitious. I feel like if you applied that, if you were like a professional athlete, that would be very beneficial to like.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if my body is professional athlete. Maybe in like an obscure sport, pick that up to it. I
Isn't
have
it
so
kind of
many other
sad?
interests though, you know what I mean? Um,
Is this, I've been thinking about this, about how sad it is, like athletes, how they're at like in some way, in an important way, they're like at mercy to their body, you know?
yeah,
Like they can be like want to do something so bad and be driven, but if they just like step the wrong way and their ankle twist or they tear their ACL, then it's just like over. And it's kind of sad
yeah,
in that way, but
that's true. What are you curious about recently?
I think most of my thoughts are kind of like, I don't know, kind of sad. I've been thinking about potential. So,
Potential?
yeah.
In
I was
what
thinking
way?
about like how if like Albert Einstein, like if he didn't do anything or try to do anything, how he could have died without anyone knowing or without doing anything. It's just like sad to me, or just how people can like how potential doesn't matter and how it can like rot inside and dies. It's kind of depressing, but how it can like die or it just becomes nothing if you don't use it. Because imagine Albert Einstein didn't actually like try to like, you know, do his relativity theory or whatever, then he would just like have died without doing that. But he could. I'm just thinking about how like a lot of people have that potential to change the world, but they don't, and how much the world would be different if they did. So
So when you say sad, are you thinking more in terms of the individual not becoming who they could have been, or sad in terms of like society and how society would have been different if they had pursued their potential?
I'm thinking more of individual. Yeah, I'm thinking more individual of how no one really knows what they can do, or just like the uncertainty of not knowing what you can do, and just like the sad, just like the tragedy of not doing or not achieving something that you could do, because it's very tragic. It would be a tragedy if Albert Einstein didn't, you know. discover or create this relativity theory. So I'm just thinking about how it's tragic how a lot of people don't do the things that they want to do or do the things that they're good at. I was just thinking about that and how that's sad. Yeah. I guess it's that curiosity. I don't know.
But is that a choice? It's like their choice as a human being to pursue this potential in them. They can choose to just live their life and not attend to it.
Or I feel like I feel like it's not just like choice. It's not like I could change the role if I don't want to because I want to be happy. It's more like fear. A lot of people are
Yeah, the fear.
afraid and also just insecure and self-doubt, so much self-doubt and so much lack of like bravery. Because I think just trying to do something, even knowing that uh you could fail is very brave. And people just sometimes just aren't brave enough to kind of strive for that or try. And I think like imagine all the many amazing like, actresses or like comedians or like intellectuals that could have or like even writers that could have written great novels, but they just like were like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if it's good enough and they just don't do it. I just feel like that's really sad. Jim Carrey said that his dad was the funniest person that he ever knew, but his dad didn't pursue a career in comedy. And then Jim Carrey was like, that's the reason why I wanted to do comedy. That way I wouldn't be like my father, who could have been like the funniest man ever, but just didn't try. So that's what I've been thinking about.
I asked my friend this. We we were out in Milwaukee at a cigar bar. So we're smoking cigars, drinking some bourbon, and he had brought up like self-doubt, and I asked him, "Do you think most people live in self-doubt?" First, let me ask you that. Do you think most people live in self-doubt?
100%, like 90% of people live in self-doubt, I believe.
That was his answer too. It was like almost everyone, or like a very, very high amount. Why is that? And is it different today versus pre-digital age?
I think it's not a digital age. I think it's more pre like capitalism. Just because capitalism, after it happened, it was like anyone that had an idea would do it. And it's a lot of people are trying. It's like a really packed world with a lot of people having different dreams, and then it's like oversaturated. Like I think a lot of people's self-doubt comes from there's so many people that they're like writers out there that like why would they pick my book, or actors being like a lot of there's like 1,000 actors that are auditioning for this role, why would they pick me? I think capitalism and just like the idea of just like a new world being so open to opportunities and everyone grasping for it is the reason why people are like, why would why would I be the person that does it? And I think it's very interesting because I feel like it's so it's so amazing actually if you think about success because then it's like it is really hard to succeed just because like you are that one in a million because everyone else tried. And I think people are afraid that they will fail because it's so many people are trying as well. And not everyone succeeds. I think that people that succeed don't unaware that it's not normal. Like all these actors that like actually have a good career, that's like not a normal thing. And there's like for every one person that succeeds, it's like 1,000 people that have failed. And I think that fear of failing is like really, really, really bad. I mean, do you ever feel that? Fear of failure and self-doubt?
Yeah, I think everyone does, but I think it's up to, like you had mentioned before, like the courage to choose to face it, or like not cower to it or be defeated by it, but we've been talking in terms of like ambition and overall success, but on like a daily and personal level self-doubt in people's lives is not just about like that regard, right?
Well, it's not about maybe it's not always about like achieving some great grand purpose or goal, but it could be as simple as like I don't know, as simple as like, oh, I don't know if I can talk to this person right now, or I don't know if I can like
Yeah.
go here because it's too scary, stuff like that. Really admire brave people. It's actually so admirable, that quality, because it's like I feel a lot of fear in my life, but I think just talking to strangers, going out of your comfort zone, that is like things that people just don't do. You know, like
So
a lot of strangers don't.
it's more like being yourself or you're like feeling like your true self around others and being comfortable with yourself that you can like
Yeah, I think fighting
be
against like
willing to
that.
stand out and
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah.
Like kind of fighting against like social norms and like judgments, you know? Like people aren't like that. But like whenever I see someone that's like, making a TikTok video in public, I'm like, wow, so brave. Because I couldn't do that. Stuff like that. I wish that I was braver to just like be myself without caring about anyone else. But
But if you didn't care, you probably wouldn't put it on TikTok. So there's something within that person that wants to be seen or acknowledged or noticed by other people, right?
well, I mean, doesn't everyone want to be noticed by other people?
I think at least like acknowledged as in a positive way. Maybe not even that. Maybe people just want to be, they want to feel like their presence, you don't want
Because
to be ignored or something.
do you know what I was thinking about as well? Like, not maybe not recently, but I thought about it before and it comes back in my head. Like, if no one sees you, are you like there?
That's
Like,
what I kind of was thinking is like,
yeah, yeah.
um, because you could be totally fine with people thinking of you negatively, but at least you were acknowledged, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're invisible, that's like isolating and alienating. I don't think we talk enough about how we're like social animals. Like human beings are like biologically, we're mammals, we're social. And I think especially since COVID, there's just been like a shift into like isolation and individualism in a way that I don't think we haven't reverted back to pre-COVID in that sense. That's what I've observed. We've gotten so ingrained and comfortable in like how we're doing things that we haven't really or we're too scared or I don't know to go back.
I don't know. I don't think I can comment on how the world has changed after COVID because I think the only thing that's changed, I mean, because like I wasn't like in the world, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Before COVID, I was
Yeah.
just a kid. I don't know anything about the world. So I can't say how the world has like changed after. But I would say that what I've noticed is just like like a lot of like the connection that people have created to be like in their homes. Even this, like us having a
Yeah.
podcast over Zoom. Zoom has like skyrocketed since COVID. Has been just a very like remote work, hybrid work that has
Yeah.
been just very like increased since COVID. That's what I've noticed, but I don't know. I think everyone just always wants to be seen. And I feel like the need for connection probably only has increased since COVID, but maybe not. But I want to know what you think actually. Do you think that if no one sees you, you're there?
I think that's where being secure with yourself comes in and confidence in yourself and the ability. It's like almost the greatest. skill today is to be comfortable just being still by yourself. This is probably not even today. It's probably like of all time. You know, like a lot of the philosophers and thinkers are cool just like being by themselves, being just like just here, not seeking external. Like there's a lot of discussion about internal and external, and when you have like an inner knowing or an inner strength, you don't seek outside yourself. It's all within. And in today's world, we don't like it's not really communicated or practiced as much. The ability to just be here, be yourself, and that's enough. And like that, like you're alive, you're being like, and that's enough.
But it doesn't depend on like how long you can stay by yourself. Because like how long can you stay without anyone talking to you before you like go insane? I think I could stay a long time because I think I'm an introvert and I love being alone. But I think it gets to a point that like if everyone ignored me, I would definitely think that I was like literally probably dead. Like if I was walking and no one talked to me or saw me, I would think that I was like not alive. I really would think that. But you said you wouldn't.
I feel like I'm like ambidextrous when it comes to like um introvert, extrovert. I will say I like being around people. I like doing stuff with people. Like I've thought a lot about it a lot. I feel like since COVID, I went in internal a lot and have developed habits and patterns where I'm in isolation a lot. And I don't think it's natural to me per se and like who I am. And I was in DMV recently. I was waiting in line and I was going through like okay, I'm gonna probably do some waiting. I don't like being on my phone much, so let me bring a book to pass some time. And I was like they're all laying around. So like I don't, I'm going through them like, oh, I don't know about this one or that one. And I saw Walden. I'm like, oh, maybe like what if we did Walden for a rich edition? Let me see. Let me
That
look
would be
into this a
really
little
good.
more. So I have Walden and who is it? It's Henry David Thoreau.
Yeah,
He lives outside.
yeah.
He's like in the transcendental age, mid 1800s, outside New England. He's at this like pond area by himself, and he was there for like 2 years. And when I was thinking about it, it's almost been 2 years since I left Chicago to be on the farm and in rural Wisconsin. And I'm starting to feel this like angst of just I want to be around people like all the time again more, and a sense of like a little bit of boredom again. And like um it's great to be like just in nature immersed, but I don't know in my nature if that's best for me. So I was thinking about that. I do feel that like the prolongedness of isolation.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's everyone. I don't I feel like everyone needs social interaction. Even if like you're more comfortable inside, I think after you talk to people, you just feel better, you know? Like it's just like a good
yeah.
thing for you to have social interaction. Wait, so in the book did he say about like was he like I'm going crazy that he talked to people and he's about
I
to
don't
suicide?
know. I only read like the first two chapters and then my name got called and I did my thing at the DMV and I haven't read it since. I just like needed something at the time, but I like was looking at it more deep than I remember when I read it previously. that's what's cool about books is like you're a different person every time you read it, even
Yeah.
though it's the same book, like you're a different person and like things are different.
I have a question. I actually really want to know. What's the best book you've ever read? Or at least like you don't have to have like one book. You can have like a couple books that are like on the like that you're thinking
Yeah.
about.
So that's a different question, right? It's not influential book, it's not favorite book, it's best book. The fact that nothing comes to my mind right now seems like default, then
You
I
haven't
don't
read it.
have an answer.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fair. It was kind of like
But if I were to like go through it, I think I keep coming back, my mind keeps gravitating towards The Great Gatsby.
that is a good book.
It's just it's so well written. Like how Fitzgerald wrote it, it's just like it's so beautiful. Like his sentences and um
Yeah. He's like one of my favorite writers.
that whole generation is interesting. The like writers of the Lost generation, and they're
Like
all just
Ernest Hemingway.
alcoholics and
Yeah.
and like uh I think a lot today because of the information age, we have access to know how like everything that happened before. So we can look at the past as models and we can see like F. Scott Fitzgerald, he wrote these awesome books. What happened to him? Oh, like he died really early. He was like severe alcoholism. And it's like, okay, so maybe not do those habits as much or like Humphrey Bogart smoking 4 packs a day. Maybe we don't want to be, you know what I mean? We have information about habits and how people lived that we can model how we want to live. And maybe that'll be true for people in the future of how like we're a model in our generations of first using the internet and social media and mobile devices. In conversations I have, if the question is, what are we doing now that people in the future will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they were doing that. That's so bad for your health. The consistent answer is screen time on your phones.
I feel like in the future they're gonna get more screen addicted than we are now.
There probably won't even be screens. It'll probably be like people,
Yeah.
everybody wearing glasses and like
And you'd be
immersed
like you'd
in,
be like living in like the virtual world all the time or something. So
you
I
could
feel like
be,
they can't really talk. They're gonna be worse than us. They don't have a right to judge us based on our screen times.
well, it depends on what we do and the actions we choose to take and how to live and the examples we set. Um,
But I think in terms of like technology, they're gonna be way worse than us. So I feel like they won't be judging us in that regard. But
what
other
do you mean
things
by
they might.
worse?
They're gonna be more addicted to screens and technology than we are. More
But
dependent
that's
on it.
interpreting whether something is good or bad when maybe there's, not
But you said that
healthy and unhealthy maybe, but I don't know about worse or better.
but no, but like if they're gonna be more like, technology dependent than we are, and then they say, oh, why would they be on the screens so much? But then they're on the screens even more than we are, then they wouldn't judge us for that because they're doing it worse,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know. I feel like as more science comes out, I think we'll realize how harmful to our health a lot of the, especially the mental aspects of it, like mental health.
Yeah.
And if we're as a society advocating for mental health, which it seems like we're on that trajectory, then like we have to confront the screen time thing. And
Yeah.
so what that means is that we'll have to have examples of how to use technology intentionally where it's not devouring our life and our like entire being, but we're able to use it specifically how people idealized initially, like how it we could use it to benefit the world, you know?
I feel like you're very optimistic. And I thought that I
Because
was
that's how I
optimistic.
choose to live it.
No,
Like,
no, no, no. I mean, yeah, yeah. I think that's really good. I thought that I was optimistic until you're saying these things. I feel like I'm pessimistic now. Just because like I feel like capitalism always wins over like our common interest of like the world. People just want money. And I feel like technology and like different social media apps and like different virtual reality or whatever, that's gonna be a really, really big market and I think is gonna be very much like harnessed and taken advantage of by those in power and those who can benefit from it in terms of money. I feel like mental health will probably decline, but I feel like it wouldn't matter. Like for example, okay, maybe I can't say this. Maybe never mind. I'm not gonna say it. But like in terms of like the technology, I feel like for example, the whole thing with uh like Trump, like the whole thing with like making hybrid cars. It was like some kind of notion that was like every car made should be hybrid from now on or whatever. But then Trump was like, nah. It's just like it's gonna be people in power is gonna be like, let's just not, let's just make money and just do things. And they're gonna just probably disregard importance of like mental health. That's what I really believe, but
yeah, I
hopefully
don't
your thing
know.
happens.
I think capitalism, people give capitalism way too much power. They assign way too much power to capitalism and not enough to themselves. Capitalism is more of a mirror rather than like its own thing. And it just reflects humans and what they want. It just reflects the markets. The issue is the people, not necessarily the companies. It's like people don't organize, people don't, they're all individually making decisions and oftentimes not logical decisions. And in America, we're like groomed to consume and express ourselves because we have so much self-doubt. We have to do it in material things. We can't just sit and just be confident in ourselves. We have to like show that we're worthy, whether in our shirts and our graphic tees, showing like, oh, I'm a Star Wars fan. That's who I am. To, oh, I have a nice car. I'm successful. It's like we give power to capitalism through our financial decisions. And if people understood how much power they have individually and collectively, then the markets and capitalism would just reflect that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it would. But I don't know. I feel like people have problems, because we're always gonna like money and put a lot. Like people are gonna be like, oh, actually, like material things don't matter as much as like family or like love or whatever. But most people are gonna still put a lot of importance in material wealth. That's just the way the world is gonna be, and I feel like that's
I'm
just
not saying it's not there. I'm just saying we don't have to assign so much. Uh, it's like the outer world reflects the inner world. Our world reflects the thoughts of the individuals. So it's a matter of like uh, individuals acting more courageously in their own lives, and the outer world will be different because of it. If
I guess
everybody's
so.
just living and acting in fear and their like base level instincts as a mammal, then like the world is going to show that. The world is going to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but that's what I mean is that, like I don't really see the entire world changing anytime soon. Like entire world being like, you know what? I'm gonna be brave today, and it's like half of the population is like, I'm gonna be brave. I don't see that happening,
Do you
really.
feel like we're too obsessed with our own individual time in lifespan wise, where like we don't believe that because so much would have to happen now and immediately and in our life duration that we choose to not believe it. But if we took like a longer term thing where like when you read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, he's talking about this exact same stuff. Like it doesn't the question is like, are we getting closer and closer? And I think a lot of the doomerism and like doom scrolling is choosing to look at reasons why the world isn't the idealized version or like why we aren't doing better in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like it is hard to visualize something that doesn't happen in your lifespan. Uh, but I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I mean, like anything's possible, but I just feel like this is so, I don't know. It seems like this is like a utopia that you're like describing. And it seems like I just feel like I can't imagine it being that good. I don't know if that's like I think I'm
See,
just pessimistic.
you read uh Two Views, One Vision. I intentionally put that question number one in Humanity and Society. That's my favorite book of our series.
Wait, what was the
Uh,
question?
okay. So Homo be human. Okay. First question in Humanity and Society is, Rich, what's the biggest problem in the world today? The biggest problem in the world today is lack of imagination. It all starts with imagination and vision.
But I at this point I feel like using imagination as like optimism. Optimism and imagination is are the same in this context, it seems.
Uh, Perhaps so. Are people are people not using their imagination when they're thinking about the world in a dark and doom environment? You know, if they're thinking about the future and it being bad, they're still using their imagination, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I would say so, but isn't that what you're saying that optimism or pessimism is a lack of imagination? Isn't that the
Not
doomerism basically?
necessarily. I think imagination is neither positive or negative.
But you're saying right now, like what does a lack of imagination mean? Like, what is that? How does that manifest itself in society?
If we're only seeing what's in front of us, it's like imagination is visualizing something that doesn't exist per se in a physical reality at the moment. The analogy I often think to myself, because I'll encounter a lot of people like this. Not a lot, there's a certain personality type, especially. But if someone is standing in front of a tree like this, right? They say, "This is bark. This is bark." And you say, "You're right. You're right. This is bark." But then they don't see that it's a tree, you know? So this is bark. Yes, you're right. But you're not seeing that this is a tree. And because you're looking at this so close and saying, I'm right, this is what it is, and you can be right, you're not zooming out, you're not seeing a bigger picture, you're not seeing this as a tree. You're not seeing, oh, actually, there's a few other trees around you. Oh, actually, you're in a forest. Oh, you zoom out. Oh, it's a forest surrounded by prairies, and it's a bigger world. So things can be both right, but also missing in information as well. So with imagination, it's the ability to see things as they are, acknowledge them, but also like zoom out and ideate and make connections of what also could be. Like if we were choosing not to be ignorant, we could see other things. We would be open to other things rather than closed and only saying this is I'm right, so this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. But I feel like in this context, lack of imagination, like based on how you explained it, like how, I don't know, like seeing the world, I don't know, just seeing the world not as it possibly could be, but saying that like the world is probably just not going to reach some kind of perfect aspect. I feel like isn't that the same thing as what you're saying about like lack of imagination?
I think it depends on how we define it. Like I feel like most people are defining it by their own lifetimes because they can't imagine life without their own existence. So maybe that's like an ego thing and not stepping outside of oneself and seeing like, oh, I'm actually a part of something bigger. It's not just about me and my own world. Um, the possibilities then open up with humanity. If there's no time frame and we're talking about like progress and the human story, then it's almost endless.
But you
You know what
said
I
there's no
mean?
time frame, but I remember you did this one book that you told me about that like there's some kind of four different cycles or something about like generations. You sent me the book,
Yeah.
something about like millennials were this, dreamers or whatever, fixed. I forgot. But in that case, like, and also just, just historicizing things, I feel like there are patterns that emerge. And so the possibilities aren't endless because like the world has gone through patterns and will continue to go through
The
patterns.
patterns are like restrictions or boundaries, you mean?
I think they are in some way. Like it's not gonna be like, for example, like the possibilities being endless, it kind of implies that it's gonna be a possibility where like let's say the four cycles or whatever doesn't happen. That's a possible thing. But I feel like humanity is restricted in some kind of like pattern type
Yeah.
way. And I feel like it would be good to like see the world the way that it could be, but also see it as how it has been. It's important to consider like history and the
Right.
past when you're thinking about the future. And the past has been like honestly just I don't know. It seems like the world is getting worse, kind of, but also
But
kind
how
of
do
better.
we, that's something I think about. This would probably be reflected in James Allen's writing too, somewhere. I don't know. But what you focus on, you see more of. So something that can be really helpful for individuals is just practice gratitude. Like like in the morning, I'm sitting in my rocking chair, staring out the window, and I have a journal, and it's just like writing about what I'm grateful for. You ever think about like many people say that the world is getting worse, and then 2 minutes later, they can go open their fridge and pull out produce from the other side of the world. That's a pretty new thing. That's a pretty like privileged thing. Like to have foods that kings and queens couldn't get at their highest point of society, indoor plumbing. Like there's so many like things on a daily basis that
Mm.
took so much progress to get to, but then we're not gonna participate in the gratitude for it. It's like we're always looking at what we don't have rather than what we do have, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I feel like what you're saying right now, that is true. But I mean, the world has gotten better, but you can think about it as like, the whole thing with the glass being half empty or half full. Like,
Yeah,
for example, the optimist would be like, it's half full, but it is half empty at the same time. So the world can be getting better and worse at the same time. It's just depends on how you look at it. Like, two things can be true at the same time. The world is getting better,
yeah.
but it has declined in a lot of different ways as well. So I feel like people that focus on like the good parts, it does make you happier, which is like I guess the goal. But people that think that the world is getting worse, I mean, it's true, but it just like it doesn't benefit us. Or maybe it does. It just like depends. I feel like there's no right or wrong way to look at the world. It just depends on what the goal is. If you want the world to get better, then looking at the trends of like the world, how it's gotten better since the past, is like a good way to think about the world. That way you can like be motivated to keep making the world get better. It just depends, honestly.
I'd be curious about what you think about this thought. Lately, I've been observing like taking a like a really zoomed out approach. I think when I look at humans, I think we're too ambitious to just stay on Earth. I think we're a little bored, and I think we're like it's getting a little too crowded as far as not people, but just like I don't know. There's just like we can't move our elbows around as much. And I think more in terms of like viewing at some point, what if planet Earth was essentially just like a museum for humans of like, oh, this is how we started. And you could zoom from Nigeria to New York City in like 2 minutes because we'll have like that kind of technology. And like taking myself out of it and my own lifetime and how we're living, we think that the world or everything is going to exist in kind of these boundaries of what we currently live in. But as humans, we know emotions in us and the industriousness and the ambitions. It's like, are we saying that as humans? If we look at our story and what we've accomplished, we're just going to be satisfied to just live on planet Earth and like hang out together. It's just like we'll likely go to space. Imagine if Star Wars were real. Like, what if we just go to other places? Like, what if we're at the very beginning of the human story rather than like an ending point, you know?
I mean, what does that make you feel? Do you feel hopeful about that?
It makes me feel humble, that's for sure.
Okay. I have a lot of views on on that. Like I have opinions on like space travel and like creating civilization in space. I I don't think like I don't trust humanity. Because I feel like you trust humanity more than I do. You think that,
I
we're
have a
all good.
healthy skepticism at the same time. It's
Because
like,
I mean, you feel like people are like fundamentally good, right? And like
um, maybe. I think it depends. I think that's why it's crucial to have like good people be ones making decisions and like ethics and philosophy. Like I think it's important to have like those high level humans being the ones that are the examples.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see humanity has potential to be good, but I feel like it's kind of like what could be and what is. So we could be good, but the way that we are, we can't even live peacefully on Earth. There's still wars happening that just don't have need to happen at all. So if we go out in space, it's just gonna be like way worse. Like I'm reading the Three-Body Problem right now, and there was this thing
Okay.
about like aliens, and they were like, I'm like paraphrasing, I'm probably wrong. Like I'm not saying this perfectly right, but they were saying like, what are the chances that like of like world peace if there are aliens? What are the chances of us living peacefully with them? And it was like a like 0.001% chance of peaceful, just because like there's so much conflict happening on Earth. We can't even. It's just gonna increase if we go to space. It's gonna
So
just be
would we
better.
galvanize more as a species then? If it's humans versus another species, would we corral each other and be like, Iran, what kind of information do you have? Like,
I feel like it would see. I'm viewing history as like a blueprint for the future. Like what happened when Columbus and everyone in Europe came to America and saw people
yeah,
living there. Like it did not end well. That is the way. I'm actually kind of scared, honestly, about like alien and like human like interactions. But in terms of like us expanding, I feel like it just be like more problems. It's just gonna be expand. It's like more money, more problems, more space, more planets to destroy, like we are destroying Earth, more
gets
like
more complex and
wars.
complex. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like even if like maybe it's getting crowded here, I feel like I don't know if that's actually true, but I feel like it's just gonna get more crowded there. Like there's gonna keep on populating the planets and it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just very pessimistic today. I don't know why, but I don't know. I'm kind of glad that I'll be dead before we populate a different
This
planet.
has been quite a conversation we've had
Yeah.
on the Blue Byron Books podcast. Um, yeah, it's interesting. See,
I have a
I just
question.
love having conversations like this all the time. I want to uh continue to have them and be around people I can have them with and um
Also, I
enjoy
remember
life.
a book that I actually really liked, like really enjoyed reading was like The Scientific Curiosities of the Millennium. Is that the
Yeah.
title?
Yeah,
It
that's
was such a
another.
good book, like, cause I was proofreading it. It was such a good book, cause I hadn't really listened to the podcast before, but it's
Yeah.
like so many interesting ideas and people that are like interesting people, and just nice to like read about it. So
Very plain cover. I designed it to like look like a scientific kind of like inquiry, but inside here we have uh, like transcripts from the Rich Conversations podcast with people in the scientific community. That's good. That inspires me to pursue that more. The Rich
yeah, like you could
Conversations
talk to
podcast.
more.
I gotta get that going more again.
Yeah, it was like really nice to see that. I should like probably listen to the podcast actually.
I should probably start doing the podcast more. I feel like so much in technology and the science fields have changed um,
Yeah,
since
like
volume one, you know, uh,
and it's like a nice way to learn about things without it being like
too dense.
a dense. Yeah, exactly. Like a
Yeah.
dense like nonfiction book. Like the book that you showed that you reading, like you influential book like by that author. It was like this long, and I was like, bruh, I don't know if I can read
Which one?
the one that you showed. That was like
The Sapiens?
that one guy. Yeah, this Homo sapiens one. I was like, that's a really dense looking book, and I don't know if I could like.
I think he does a decent job. He's pretty cold. He's probably more of a pessimistic person like you. But Homo Deus is probably even a little more dense. Um,
But yeah, also I just feel like I haven't really learned things like out of college. I feel like what I'm learning now is just how to learn without academic studying, without assignments,
mm,
required readings.
now you'll really start learning.
So I guess I was thinking about reading, seeing that book. I was thinking about like it being required to read in an academic setting. That's why I was like, oh, that's too many required pages to read for
Yeah,
class. Like, like in class you just read stuff, like you have like 10 pages of required reading. Maybe 10 is pretty short. If it was like 30 pages of required reading, you just start dreading it and you're like, dang, I have like 10 pages left.
yeah,
That was my life for 4 years, just like dreading stuff. And I remember talking
yeah.
to this person and she was telling me about how like learning should be fun. And I feel like learning with like low pressure be better than learning with like high pressure intensity. So I think that doing podcasts, like the podcast, the rich conversations, is just nice. It's like learning in like a low pressure situation, just like knowing things
Yeah.
without having to, you know, make yourself read something without you just lose interest.
Curiosity. It's something I'm more so on my mind too of like pursue your curiosity and the books that you choose to read, like read what you're curious about and you'll be a lot more engaged and have a lot more energy with the material. Um,
I have
wrapping
a
up,
question for you. This is kind of
okay.
random, but I actually really want to know. Would you want to live forever?
Mm, in what state? Like, or state as in like quality of life.
I mean, you tell me what
Like
state would you
as I
want to
am
live?
now and like I don't age and
Would you want to live that way forever?
I think it'd be interesting. Like to view the human story as like an observer. Um, could I participate or would I just have to like there's so many different questions that would
You don't have to participate, you could just be alive.
I think the main thing is if you can accept death in your life and if you can accept death, you will choose to like you can live your life very free and very intentional and understand the beauty of it. Um, I think some of the issues we have in society is an insecurity with one's own death. And so we want to prolong our lives as much as possible. Um, we want our quality of life to increase as much as possible.
I feel
But it's
like
like magic if you can accept death.
I don't know. I feel like I don't really fear death. Not really. I think because I'm a Christian, so but even because I believe in heaven, I mean also even if it was like nothing after death, I feel like that's still kind of nice. Maybe that's pessimistic.
Peaceful.
Yeah, it's peaceful just to have like no worries or anything. I mean, what I fear is like living with like when someone else dies that's close to me and living through that. But I don't know. I feel like because like I feel like things could just end abruptly, and I feel like I'm just fine with that. I don't know. That's bad.
That's a good place to be in, though. But you don't want to be passive because of it. You want to ideally have it inspire you to live more free in each moment and more bold and more courageous.
Well, it depends on like what a fear of death does to you. So I feel like a fear of death, it doesn't like if life is short, like if I was gonna die tomorrow, I'll probably just I don't think I would. I guess I guess I would do things, be more courageous and brave. But I mean like I feel like a fear of death doesn't make you less brave. Like
A fear of
what
death would be like avoidance, I feel like.
no, but like what things do you avoid in your life that could lead to death? I feel like it's not that common to have like death or death. so obvious to you. You know, like I don't fear my life every day. You know what I'm saying? I don't make
But
decisions that
that
I
would be
could
an
die.
indication of like some would say progress, where in the Victorian age,
Oh yeah, true.
children, like it's a coin flip between you and your siblings of who's going to survive to teenage years. Like
Yeah,
it's
true.
you're constantly surrounded around death. And today we just don't have that as much. So we're almost like numb to it. It's a surprise when people die
Yeah.
to like who are close to us,
But also I haven't like had a face-to-face experience with death. So I don't know. I think I would probably change my life. It's like very significant.
Yeah, it's changed mine a few times. So,
Yeah.
okay, wrapping up here. Last question. This has been a great conversation, very rich conversation. What are you most energized for with Blue Byron Books?
Um, I think I think probably just the future, but that's kind of vague. I'm like in terms of like it's really exciting to just see a future where there's a bunch of writers just writing really good books. Just it's just exciting to imagine Blue Byron Books as like just a powerhouse of publishing. Like it's just so interesting and exciting to like imagine us just being like putting out books, having a bunch of different people come together to write novels and like books. Just very nice to imagine that. Like imagine like having a stack of books, just like so many shelves of books just with the Blue Byron Books logo. That's like what I'm excited about. Because I've never been a part of like a startup before. So like it's very exciting like imagining a future and being part of the process to get there.
Yeah, you've been a what is it, integral part of that process. So
What made
glad
you think so?
to have met you and collaborate with you. We've done a lot. You mentioned the like stack of books at the end of last year. So on my like writing desk, I would just like every new book that we published, I would just put on this stack to where like all of a sudden now it's like here and then when I'm writing, this is where I journal typically. I just it's like overbearing on me. It's like it's almost like it feels like it's gonna collapse over me. Or like if I have my computer, I get like really nervous that it's gonna like take out my computer. Uh, so I moved it, but then I zoomed out and I'm like, this is like only one stack. Where if I move it to my study on the floor is just stacks of books. So Blue Byron Books at the end of the year was just a stack of books. So then it's like, okay, how do I make it look more like this room where it's many stacks of books, and like
Yeah.
then sh like shelves rather than like a single shelf, you know what I mean? So then it's
Mhm.
like um growing in that sense. And the answer is humans,
Yeah.
people, more um collaboration. So
Yeah, it's so like exciting to see like the books that are gonna be in our catalog. Like I
yeah,
can't wait to see our catalog of books, like novels and like I just can't wait to see like a bunch of people's like thoughts and creativity.
it's wild too when I'm meeting with people discussing ideas and the idea that they'll have for a book. And I'm like, wow, like that's so unique and like interesting. That's like,
Mhm.
I could have never thought about that. And that's kind of the beautiful aspect of it is you get all these different angles and perspectives. I think it's really wonderful and very energized.
Yeah.
And so thank you for coming on and we'll continue with our regular scheduled collaboration session after this.